Hey there, cowboy.
Welcome, gods and goddesses, tryhards and filthy casuals. Curses and madness be upon you all. I am Euclidean Vision, the emotional support, back today with my fourth Echo Hero concept and my second tank build that should hopefully feel like a mixture between Zarya, Reinhardt and Sigma. Nest up, dear viewers, as I present to you Wing Mother Echo, the Guardian Angel. And starting with her base stats, as with the other ranged barrier tanks, 400 HP is going to be my baseline for Wing Mother Echo, split like Zarya's health pool into 200 health and 200 shields. And although we've seen her hitbox to be relatively support sized thus far, some expansion or some extra height from floating could help us achieve more of a Sigma-esque hitbox. Finally, as there is no cause for her to move at any other speed, the base movement speed of 5.5 meters per second will suffice here, and of course this build of Echo also makes no footstep noise. So moving on, this build of Echo doesn't have a passive either, so we're going to keep going past that, skipping her primary fire for now to go and look at Wing Mother Echo's barrier, controlled through her alt fire, Roost, her shift ability, Nest, and her E ability, Shelter. Through each of these abilities, Wing Mother Echo manifests a 1200 HP barrier between her two floating wings, and each ability manipulates these wings in a number of different ways. Holding down alt fire, Roost, will spawn the barrier in front of you as with Reinhardt, allowing you to move around with it. But, in a similar manner to Doomfist, it will also charge a meter that allows you to quickly project your barrier at a distance by pressing primary fire. There is no automatic release for this charge, and during the wing's travel time, they will knock back any enemies in their path, and the barrier will extend up to its full width, dependent on the length of charge you put into the channeling of Roost. Re-triggering Roost will summon the wings back to you, knocking enemies away as they travel, and then putting Roost on a short cooldown. This cooldown also activates if you cancel Roost at any time by letting go of alt fire, so you should be careful about how you decide to balance the barrier around yourself and using your other abilities. Finally, the barrier can only regenerate its health pool when it has been recalled, and so in playstyle functions predominantly like Sigma. And so as with Roost, every single other ability in Wing Mother Echo's arsenal has different applications for when the barrier is deployed and for when it is not. Her shift ability, Nest, helps her set up an anchor point quickly and then reposition it when needed. Triggering Nest when the barrier is inactive will place it immediately in front of you, knocking back any enemies in a short range. When the barrier is active, however, and you are within a moderate range and have line of sight to either of the wings that project your barrier, triggering Nest will cause the wing you have soft locked onto to be pushed violently in the direction you are looking, again knocking back and damaging any enemies in its path. If you do not have line of sight to your wings, Nest will summon your barrier back to a static position in front of you again, and any of these uses of Nest will also put it on a short cooldown. So now on to Wing Mother Echo's E ability, Shelter. Projecting her wing to an ally envelops them in a personal transferal barrier, healing the ally for the damage that the barrier takes, while simultaneously repositioning Echo's main wing barrier. This ability functions in nearly the same way regardless of whether the barrier is active or not, but while active it does allow for more reliable repositioning opportunities of a single wing. As when the barrier is inactive, using Shelter will summon both wings to the ally's position, with the second wing extending the barrier out relative to your line of sight to that ally. The personal barrier that extends to the ally does drain from Echo's barrier resource to provide protection for a maximum of 150 damage, 100% of which taken is turned into healing for that ally and also cleanses them of any debuffs etc, just like Zarya's projected barrier. And so with all the different abilities that function around Wing Mother Echo's barrier out of the way, we can move on to her primary fire, Squall, which also works differently depending on whether her barrier is active or not. With the barrier inactive, so at base, Echo swings her wings in front of her, dealing melee damage at close range and projecting piercing energy waves at a moderate distance. These act like horizontal, miniature, limited range fire strikes, passing through enemies and barriers alike and having no ammo capacity but a very slow rate of fire, similar to Sigma's hyperspheres. Also, it must be noted, enemies hit at melee range receive both melee and energy wave damage. And so when her barrier is active and her wings are out on the field, Echo has to channel her energy through her hands, a much less effective medium for her. Her projectiles do behave in the same way, except they lack the barrier piercing property, and she obviously deals no innate melee damage in this form. However, if her projectiles in this form pass through her barrier, they will also emit an extra projectile from each wing at a perpendicular angle, causing her to attack in sort of a T formation. So as you can see, each form fills sort of a different niche for how you aim to attack an enemy, or different kinds of enemies, or how much protection you wish to provide, and there are likely quite a lot of combos to be designed between her primary fire and the use of her wing repositioning abilities. And so finally, on to Wing Mother Echo's ultimate, Mother's Kiss, otherwise known as the Wing Railgun. Echo brings her wings together to form two magnetic rails, then fires a powerful projectile that pierces through the environment and leaves behind a shocking aura. And you guessed it, Mother's Kiss also functions slightly differently when Echo's barrier is active or not. In both forms, activating Mother's Kiss has a moderate length channel for your wings to gather and charge energy, projecting a laser through the environment to indicate the trajectory of your attack for the 2 seconds you have to aim, and slowing your movement until you are locked into your firing position for the final second. So think sort of like Accretion meets Dragon Strike. This channel can of course be cancelled by stuns, etc., whether Echo has her wings with her or not, but in either instance it is Echo herself that must be stunned. So when the wings are with her, Echo performs this channel directly in front of her with her wings, allowing her to line up her shot reliably from first person. When her wings are out in the field, however, this channel will aim the projectile in the direction you are looking relative to your barrier, projecting from the wings themselves. So in this instance, you're sort of aiming from third person, or at least have to account for both the angle of your wings and your own relative positioning in order to aim this shot correctly. The laser will probably kind of help in that instance though. And so finally, when fired, what does it actually do? This railgun fires instantly across the projected laser line, which is why it's got such a long cast time and the laser to indicate its trajectory. And when it's fired, it'll damage any enemy in its path for 300 flat damage, so anywhere across the map, in what you can sort of describe as a long, thin area of effect. But then, after 3 more seconds, the trail left by the projectile will feed back on itself and explode in an electrical burst, stunning any enemies caught by this slightly wider AoE for 3 seconds and dealing a further 100 damage. Phew, that was a lot of wings and barriers and different applications for buttons and stuff, but that absolute flap is Wing Mother Echo, the Guardian Angel. Hopefully I've achieved my aim here of making a flexible barrier tank with plenty of force movement, who would of course be super appreciated in the current meta. But hey, personally it really does beat playing Orisa right now, if you ask me anyway. That's a personal opinion. I'm prepared to receive some hate for that one. And so to close out on a more serious note, story-wise, I can really see this build of Echo particularly being an echo of Athena, utilising direct control of extra machinery and maybe having a more tactical mindset would lend themselves well to the successor of the goddess of wisdom and strategy. She certainly at least feels like a wiser older lady in this build to me, likely to be very motherly in all the sort of varying ways that can manifest itself. And so that brings me to the end, my friends. Thanks for taking shelter with me and flying with Wing Mother Echo. There's only one concept left now, and that's the big kahuna. Echo Reverb, the Healing Doomfist. I really hope to see you there. Feel free to check the previous 3 concepts in the meantime, and come tell me which one you prefer in the comments. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this series of concepts, because there's still going to be more to come, and there's still more existing in the past. Thanks one final time, teammates. I've been Euclidean Vision, the emotional support. Take care of yourselves, and may the glorious light of Best Girl shine within you. Bye.